Behind the Mirror of Music with Dannii Cohen.
Hello, and welcome to Behind the Mirror of Music. My name is Dannii Cohen. This week's guest is Katie Adams. Katie Adams performed the role of Glinda in Wicked on Broadway and on the first national tour. Katie was also part of the touring companies of Urinetown, Grease, Hello Dolly, the Fantasticks, and much more. Currently, she focuses on teaching as she works as musical theatre faculty at AMDA. I hope you'll enjoy the show.
There we go. Hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. My 7-year-old daughter is actually home right now. She will probably come say hi at some point because they are off from school. Oh, here's my little one. You want to say hi? That's Dannii. Say hi, Dannii.
What is it?
That's water. You say hi, Dannii.
Hi.
How are you?
That's my Gracie. All right, Bubs. Oh, okay. Dribble. Okay. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you for being quiet. Okay.
What are you doing right now in your life and career?
Well, I retired from performing in 2009. It was after I did Wicked, and then I did an off-Broadway show called Vanities at Second Stage. And I had just had the feeling, I always knew I didn't want to do it forever because I knew I wanted to be a mommy. And I knew that the kind of person I was, I couldn't do both at the same time. And so I had met my then boyfriend, soon to be, or later to be husband, when I was actually doing Wicked. I was on Match.com and we met doing Match.com. And so I just was getting the feeling that I was sort of ready to settle a little bit more. And, you know, when you're an actor, you have to be willing to travel and go on tour and go do regional theater. And I just knew I was sort of done subletting my apartment and staying in hotels, you know, and traveling. And so I I was I decided to leave the business, and then I started nannying was always my in between job gigs. I was like a hostess or a nanny. And so I was deciding what to do, and I decided to go back to grad school because I love kids. And somebody had said, if you're going to go into teaching, you should probably get a degree in special ed. And so I was so grateful I did, because just the way the system is kind of broken, you're always going to have kids with different learning needs. So anyway, I got a double master's in early childhood special ed and early childhood general ed, and then got engaged, married, had a baby, graduated grad school right before I had our first daughter, Ellie. And I worked with, I raised her for a little bit. Then I went to work as a SEAT, a one-on-one for kids with special needs. And I loved my time with the kids, but it was basically like 20% time with kids, 80% writing reports. And I was like, this is not why I became a teacher. I didn't want to write reports. So long story short, I made a website, found friends. Thank God I had colleagues and friends from the business still that had connections at some colleges. And my goal was to teach musical theater in college, because I've always loved coaching and I love kids, I love teaching, but I wanted to teach like kids right out of high school and like really talented young, like raw talent that you can like chew on and really see the difference, what it's doing. And so I was so lucky to find New York Film Academy under Christy Cates, who actually was a colleague from Wicked. She was one of the Elphabas. She is now, I think, like dean of the arts program there. That's just a recent switch, but she was head of the musical theater program there. So I taught there, and I also was fortunate to meet Elaine Petrikoff at AMDA, which is American Musical and Dramatic Academy, and she's the head of the musical theater department, and she's amazing. And so I now work just at AMDA. NIFA was amazing to work at and work with Christy, but it was very far. And it's all the way down by the Statue of Liberty, and I'm up in the Bronx. And so the key is that it was important to my husband and I that I'm sort of be the primary caregiver and raise the girls while he's working very hard and helping all the time when he gets home. But so I literally wanted to work only when the girls were in school. So I literally get them up, get them ready, take them to school, run home, slap makeup on my face, go take the subway to the city, teach a class, and run home and pick them up for pickup. So it's like a mad dash and crazy, but it's so worth it because I found, I feel like all along I was supposed to, I feel like I did my career in performing in order to teach. And it was sort of like my resume allowed me to teach where I wanted to teach with like the cream of the crop. And I feel so lucky because I just, by happenstance, when I was deciding to leave special ed or not, I had to let my certificate lapse. So I was like, well, I don't want to write reports. I love the kids. I don't want to write these reports for a living and just see the kids for like a little bit of hours. And I was like, I wonder what college professors in musical theater make. And it was comparable somewhat. And so I was like, I'm just going to take a blind leap. And I did. And I love it. It sort of fills that void of, I don't miss performing, but I miss the energy and being around theater people. I miss that vibration. I always say it's such a high vibration. And like I miss the funny, like the weird people and the funny and the quirky and the creative. And it's been really cool to become a teacher. It's like my third or fourth year, maybe third year teaching, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Also, such a great thing to do because I know that kids especially thrive with music and acting. It really helps them come out of their shells.
Yeah, that's basically what it is I feel like I'm teaching them to get rid of all the, I call them dicky birds on the shoulder. They're like, what are you doing? You're not doing this right. You're not a good enough singer. You're not an actor. You're a dancer. Like all these things that people say to themselves. I'm like, you just tell those voices, get in my backpack. You can stay with me, but I'm gonna learn what the homework is. I'm gonna learn how to do the work. So I get out of my head, get out of my own way, and be so prepared with all these tools that I don't have time to think about what I look like if my Spanx are falling down, if I'm flat. You're just telling the story. Just like tell the story. And also it's important, I feel like that one of the main things I teach my students is like, you have to take yourself where you are today. Like it, because I teach sometimes, because I can only teach in this 3-hour window. So it's like, it's sometimes I get like a dance major class that they take like a song interpretation class, or a styles class. And it's like half of them come in sort of apologizing for even making noise when they sing. And I'm like, no, you get to take up space. Like, and I always tell them like, it's like a roller coaster because so many of them, even musical theater majors, get hung up on like where their voice is right now. And like, I don't sound like, I don't sound like a perfect singer. So I'm like, but pretend there's like two roller coasters, and like this is your acting roller coaster, and this is your singing vocal like roller coaster. If you wait till they're even, like you're just wasting this whole roller coaster ride of acting. You're like just wasting time. You could be learning all this good acting work that makes your storytelling so much more valuable if you're waiting for your singing roller coaster to be like even Steven. Like you have to let one go at one pace and one go at the other pace, but you can't wait to learn or to start acting only when you're satisfied with your voice. Because I got news, you're never going to be satisfied. Even if you're like at the top of your game, people always have something that they wish was different about something. So you have to just take yourself where you are and start. Like, I'm like, I don't care how good of a singer you are. You're telling a story and it just happens to be to notes on a page. But I would rather watch any day, all day. Yes, I love, you have to keep training the craft of your voice, but it's like, I would rather watch somebody tell a story and not be a perfect singer than watch somebody that's a gifted vocalist just give me pyrotechnics and not be connected to the story or what they want or who they're talking to or why they need to say it right now, you know? Um, any day, all day, I'll take somebody connected and being honest and vulnerable than just being a stereotypical whatever they are. I call them peel and stick actors. Nobody wants that.
How did you fall in love with theater and acting and music?
Oh, I fell in love with singing from, no, not your father, but good answer, Gracie. Um, uh, I fell in love with it from an early age. I started in community theater, like most actors. And I actually also, I have two part-time jobs that basically make a full-time job. I am, assistant director at a children's theater where I live in Riverdale, in the Bronx, at the Riverdale Y, and they have a wonderful, wonderful program there that reminds me of a program I grew up with, and my mom was a voice and piano teacher. So I grew up with music in my house. She gave me my love of theater. She took me to shows. I always sang Let Me Entertain You and Heart Hearted Hannah. Those were my two songs I used to sing for whatever community show I was auditioning for. And I grew up, you know, having that sense of community in that theater. And that's what the theater that I work for now, and I work with amazing women. It's all women on the team, choreographer, music director, and me. So the four ladies. And it's we're doing shows. We did a show with like 100 children. We had two different casts. So it's amazing to give, and it's like the theater has its heart in the right place. It's like kids will help make the props. The older ones will help paint the set. The older kids mentor the younger ones. It's it's really it's really about teaching kids. It's got their heart in the right place. It's not about, you know, having them always get the line right and always get the laugh, or it's about teaching them what theater is and what we do together and how to treat each other respectfully and learn how to take notes and all those things that I grew up around at my community theater, White Barn Theater and Apple Hill Playhouse. I have amazing memories, and it let me try on different personalities. And you know, from being a performer, it's like to watch kids come out of their shell and feel empowered to be their true, weird, cool, awkward, vulnerable, whatever self is really awesome. And it's such a joyful part of of the work to get to work with little ones, not little, but all the way up till 6th grade. So it's first grade through 6th grade. There's a Little Stars program and junior stars program. So, okay, so we do, I get to do shows with the children's theater, and then I get to coach, you know, all the way from standards, golden age, all the way up to contemporary musical theater with my college kids. So I sort of get the best of both worlds.
Sounds like such a great time to work all these things and to help develop all these children and teenagers and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Such an impressionable time in their lives too.
Yes.
Like hitting puberty and trying to do a show where you have a husband. You know, we just did Addams Family. And actually my daughter just did her second show with the theater. You know, I had started with them, working with them, and I got a text. I was backstage at Sister Act, and she was like, "Mommy, I want to audition for Shrek." And I was like, "Oh, here we go. Let's see if she gets the theater bug." And she got it. So it's really cool to share that with her, because I shared it with my mom, and my littlest loves drama. Yes, you loves drama too, and she's we run a summer camp in the summer for 6 weeks, and you're gonna maybe go for Annie and Frozen. So there I get to dabble a little bit, which I've always wanted to, in directing. So I'm gonna I directed my first children's theater half-hour version of Music Man last summer. It was an amazing experience. And I've always, like, coaching is a little bit like directing, so I had always wanted to direct, and I got baptized by fire. So I did it, and it worked, and it was good. It was great. We put a show on in 3 weeks. It's insane. Like, the kids learned it in like 11 days. So I get to do 2 more shows this summer, Annie Kids and Frozen Kids. So I'm really excited.
Absolutely. I hope everything goes well.
Thank you.
Yeah. What was your first professional role?
My first professional show out of college, I went to Boston Conservatory for musical theater, and then my first show I got hired for after graduation was Titanic. Oh, that score was so glorious to sing. And I can remember being in the first day of rehearsal, and we were singing all together. And it was like, in college, when you do a show, you have college kids playing adults, right? So it's like, but I can remember hearing like the men's voices in the ensemble of Titanic, and just being like, I could not believe how full and like just insanely amazing. It was such a talented cast. So it was Titanic, and I was Kate Murphy, and I understudied the main Kate, and it was a great experience. Such a beautiful show, and I'm like a documentary like lover. I love like true everything, true crime, true everything. So to do something that was an actual, I mean, it's, you know, based on true stories. So it was amazing just to do the research and get to play. You know, I was Madeline Astor, so I had like a pregnancy bump, and that was wild. And but an amazing, and I got to do it with one of my friends, Libby Rathy, from college. We both got hired together after college. And it was really cool to be able to do that together.
It must have been, I really loved Titanic. I often played the score. So
Oh,
wonderful melodies.
yes. The music is so beautiful to sing.
I wish recently it had a revival, but I wish it was far more widely known, because people are missing out on so much beautiful music there.
Yes.
You started in Wicked on Broadway and on the touring company. What was your time on the show like?
It was amazing. It was like, I mean, I always said from when I was little, I wanted my Broadway show. I wanted a Broadway show. It was an amazing experience. It was amazing, amazing, amazing. And as far as women's roles are written, it doesn't get better than, you know, getting to wear those gowns and sing that score and say those, you know, get to just represent two women and their friendship and their relationship and their conflict. It was a gift, and it's been a gift that has kept on giving. I met my best friend, Brooke Elliott, I got to doing the tour. I got to tour the United States with my other best friend, Emily Rozek. We were both the Glinda covers on tour. And then I originally only got called to do the Broadway show for 1 month. And that was going to be my Broadway debut, which was like A-okay with me. I was like, if it's one day, I don't care. I'll do. I mean, like, I was so excited. And 1 month turned into 3.5 years. I did it for 3.5 years in the city as the standby, and I was very lucky. I got combined with tour and Broadway. I went on like over 200 times. So like I really got to play around with Glinda and find my way of telling her story. And I I was so lucky to perform. I counted one time because the 20th anniversary program came out and had all the women that have ever played Glinda and Elphaba and the standbys listed. And I went through the list, and I had performed in some capacity, whether it was doing like a promo event, or I got to go to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and like sing from Wicked for a promo event, fly on private jets. Like Wicked has given and given in my life, and the producers and cast are the best people. And um it my ADHD just took over. What was I saying? Oh, I got to perform with 18 Elphabas of all the women that have played Elphaba. That's insane. Like, and some of the most iconic names in musical theater are just like, I was like given the gift to be able to stand this close to and like scream at as my best friend or cry with and hug. And it's like insane. Like I sometimes think back on it because now I'm a mom and no one cares what I'm doing. And I'm half the time just have my hair in a messy bun and no makeup. And I'm running to school and I'm running to the city to teach and I'm getting Costco. But sometimes I think about my life and I'm like, I like used to come downstage in that bubble and like sing and wear those gowns. Like it feels like another lifetime. It feels like 10 lifetimes ago, honestly. But it just it was such a gift. It will be one of the greatest gifts of my life, always.
When you played Glinda, how did you see her character for you?
I saw her as all heart and very egocentric, but you have to, you know, when you're playing somebody, like say I'm playing like a serial killer, like you have to find the humanity in her. It was way easier to find Glinda's humanity than a serial killer, I'm sure, but she did horribly selfish things as a person, and Glinda always wanted the attention to be on her, and she wanted, or more than wanted, expected everything to go right. So because she had no history in her life or no proof that things wouldn't go right, because it's just never occurred to her that it wouldn't. So she expected, and because she expected it to go right, it just did. It was like, you know, getting things begot more getting things. And for the first time, something's odd and she doesn't get her way. And you get to see her process through that and find her humanity in the most unlikely of people, Elphaba, the green, you know, the green girl that everyone is horrified, you know, over at school. So, and every character I play always is a little bit weird because I'm just intrinsically very weird and eccentric, and like just as an actor, I feel I'm like a very physical actor. So my characters always I have to sort of rein myself in to not be as charactery as I would be if I could just be totally free. And it's not lost on me that Glinda is the most ingenue part I ever played, but it was because she had to be funny. And my funny was always a little bit weird, which I like. And playful, but all heart. I think she was all heart. And then Elphaba gave her the gift of empathy, which she didn't possess that quality, I think, before she met Elphaba.
How do you see their friendship over the years?
The friendship of Elphaba and Glinda?
Yes.
Um, beautiful and raw and true, and unconditional, which, you know, I'm very lucky to have three best friends, Kristen, Brooke, and Emily, that I feel like I have that with, where they have seen like every and all parts of me, every, any, all, everything. And don't use it against me ever, even though, you know, they could. So it's like what I'm trying to teach my girls. It's like, you know, like Brene Brown says, candle blower outers. Like Glinda was sort of a candle blower outer of Elphaba's. She didn't want to see anybody else's light shine bright as brightly as hers. And then she learns to be selfless through growing her friendship with Elphaba. And it's beautiful. And it's like, you know, tell my girls it's worth, like, you have to nourish and feed those friendships, because those are the ones that are going to feed you back and sustain you.
You get to see the movie?
Oh yes, I saw it 3 times. I saw it, I think it took me 3 times to absorb it, actually. um I mean, both ladies are insanely talented, and it was so gorgeous. Like, just the cinematography is like, I mean, I feel like it's as I feel like that about the Broadway show too. It's like just the colors and the you could see that movie so many more times and always see something different. I feel like that about the Broadway show. You could watch it and always see something different, whether it's something in a character's line or something in a dance or something from the ensemble member or a different costume or a different set piece or cogwheel. um the movie is like so rich, and I can't wait to see the second part.
Absolutely. I think it's great that they did two parts because they're one of the rare few musicals who could keep all the songs in.
I know, and it's amazing that the first part was as long as the whole Broadway show. But I think it flew. I did not feel like I was in there for 2 hours and 45 minutes. I couldn't believe that that much time had passed. It didn't feel that, it felt way faster to me. It made me want to run to see the Broadway show like immediately. It made me like want to see it live.
What was some of your favorite memories performing in the show, on the stage or off?
Oh, it, oh, so, I mean, I have so many, I have countless, like, that I could pick. But I used to do a show on every Dollar Friday on Broadway. We do this thing where, like, I would walk around the building before the show in this big, like, old pretzel bucket, collect dollars, and everybody would write their name on the dollar. And then at intermission, I would write this skit show, and I had a character that I created named Sinclair Jones, and she had a show called Sinclair's Circle of Friends, and I had a boyfriend, Cecil Sinclair, that was like my dear friend Tony Galdi. And I used to write this like I would interview somebody on the cast or crew every Friday night, and at intermission we would do the skit back and forth, and I would like interview them, sort of like I can't think of what it is, but inside the actor's studio, you know, the man that did always interview the famous people. He would do the like, when you get to the gates of, if there is a heaven, when you get the gates, what do you want him to say or whatever? I can't think of his name right now. So we would do the show, and it was always wildly inappropriate. And then I would do it over the loudspeaker, like over the PA at intermission. So while people were changing their costumes and wigs, everyone would listen. And then whoever was my guest would pick $1 out of the pool, and whoever's name's on it got the whole pot. Those, like, I miss the people. I miss the crew guys. I miss like just hanging out in the dressing room. I miss hanging out in the green room, people's birthdays. We'd have like a birthday train. So whoever had the birthday would get the cake, and then they would get the next person's birthday, and, you know, things like that. You go through so much with your cast, you know, divorces, weddings, children. You know, there were many people in the cast that had babies, and being on tour, we had such an amazing group of a family on tour. Rehearsing for a first national is special because it's the first time it's leaving Broadway and going out into the world. So just how we were received in every town was like amazing. Like we had sort of like fans that would travel to see us in different places that I got to know. I'm still friends with one. Her name is Brooklyn. She's an amazing woman. Like there were similar things in both of our lives, and I sort of connected with her over that. And you just like the people. I miss the people. I miss being around the people and laughing, like the hardest laughs you can laugh, that. And the performing magic, like the magic that you feel on stage with, like, you know, the Elphaba or whoever, you know, you're performing with, is, you know, I cherish those memories, because it's like performing with people. Like I almost got to perform with Rue McClanahan. I started on Broadway right when she was there, but I didn't get to go on yet. But like I almost got to kiss my childhood crush, Joey McIntyre. Like he was Fiero, and then like right when I came, and I never got to, but like insane. I would have like kissed New Kids on the Block. Like that's crazy.
Yes.
Um, and like performing with Carol Kane. I mean, like these Ben Vereen on my Broadway debut. Ben Vereen was my wizard. Like it's insane. Like I feel like it's like a movie I lived in, but it's just it's a blessing. It's the biggest blessing. Is there anything you wanted to know, like about anyone or anyone I performed with or anything?
About your maybe some of your memories of certain alphabets.
Um, oh, I have so many wonderful memories of so many of them. Some of the ones that like I remember, like Eden Espinoza. My first Elfie was Stephanie J. Block. I think she goes by Stephanie J. Block, like her professional name. There were times in like Defying Gravity when I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to go or go with her or stay, and the guards are coming. I remember one day specifically, it was the scene where we're yelling at each other. And I can remember like being so angry, like we were screaming at each other, and it felt like magic. Like it felt like magic. I was like just so present, just so like um so real. And singing for good with two of my other favorites, Julia Murney, who's a dear friend still, and Eden Espinosa, and I mean, there's so many. My dear friend Julie Reiber and I were standbys together, and to get to go on with her was like magic. We were both in each other's weddings, and to go on with somebody that you know so well as like a friend, and then to be, you know, Elphaba and Glinda. Who else? Anna Gasteyer, from SNL, like one of my comedy like icons. I got to go on with her, and the first time I went on with her, I used to do this thing where I used to get in What Is This Feeling? I would get so like annoyed that I would kick at Elphaba, like, I hate you, and I would kick at her, like just like flick my foot. And I was so like powered up because I was so excited to go on with her. I kicked my leg so hard I kicked myself out from under me, and I fell on my ass on stage. And then she just like, I looked up at her and she was like like she was laughing at me because like Glinda fell, like Elphaba would think it was hysterical. And like, you know, I had to make it work. So I just like threw like a temper tantrum and like hit the ground, like, and then like got up and like brushed my skirt off or something. But that was really fun. There's so many people. It's like I could name all of them. I could name Lisa Brescia, Carrie Ellis. There's so many. I don't know if I ever got to go on with Christy Cates. I think we rehearsed together maybe, but friggin' talented. I mean, the talent. There's like, if you go down the list of Elphabas and Glindas, it's like the heavy hitters in musical theater. I just count myself just blessed to have been in rooms with them, you know. Never got to do it with Adina, but that would have been cool. Shoshana Bean too. Sorry, forgot. So yeah, insane. I mean, like half the time I would be, because I'm not like a belter like Elphaba, so I would sometimes my brain would kind of come out of it, and I would just be like, it was like a master class in placement. Like I would just be looking at their faces, being like, where are you putting that? Like, how are you getting that sound to come out your face? Like, because my voice doesn't work like that. It's like amazing to witness it this close, you know?
It got to be very strong belter for Elphaba because belting itself is so hard on the voice, and to do that so many times.
Yeah. Yeah. I sort of think it's like you come with your vocal cords the way God built them, and it's either they're a Glinda or they're an Elphaba. I feel like I would rather sing a high C at 8 o'clock in the morning every day, all day, than like belting anything. So I think it matters just what comes naturally to you.
It's best to work with that, because if you force your voice, then
yeah,
it's bad.
Bad. Yeah.
You also performed with Adam Lambert.
Adam Lambert was my dance partner on tour. That was when he first like started in the business, which is insane to think. And now I'm so happy for all his success. He deserves it all. He's so talented. And, you know, when we were on tour together, he was like, he would be recording like music in a studio, like when we were in LA. You know, he's always like had his own thing. He actually, everybody on tour got one. I still have mine. I could probably like sell it on eBay, but I never would. He like made his own mix of like Wicked stuff, and like Elikanamen, the Elphaba song, like he sings his own rendition of it. It's like so cool. So many people like Wicked has always gotten really good people, and they spread the wealth, and it's just it's a beautiful family. Like we always say, like it's like a wicked family. It's like it's enormous. I mean, the show could there's so many companies of it. There's international companies, there's touring, first, second. I mean, it's insane. It's so funny. Somebody was like, when it was like the 20th anniversary of Wicked, and like everybody was posting all their memories and pictures and blah blah blah, and somebody put something on Instagram that made me die laughing. It was like, well, I think it's safe to say that there's only 5 people in the world that haven't been in Wicked, because it was like everybody was like showing their things, or like something about like the whole world is in Wicked or has some Wicked like thing. But there's such pride, I think, in being like a part of something, a small part of something that's so impactful. They were so smart the way they did it to connect it to something everybody sort of knew about Wizard of Oz, you know, so it's like everybody has buy-in immediately because they sort of know something about Dorothy, and there's a nod to Dorothy, and just brilliantly written by Stephen and Winnie, and directed by Joe, I mean, and Wayne, everybody. I mean, it's a special show, I think. I think it's one of the few that is worth the insane amount of a Broadway ticket, which I think is kind of criminal that it costs so much for people to access the live theater at, you know, like everybody should be able to experience Broadway, and it's too expensive if you ask me. But because it means not everybody gets to have it, but hopefully, like with the movie, you know, some people that maybe can't see it, but I think it's such a good show.
It is. It's as you say, all around the world. It's so like it's one of the most widely known shows, I think, next to Phantom and the Mies, as you can say, it's been in almost every country.
Yes, yes. I think I wonder about, you know, like the longest running. I just can't see a world where it's not on Broadway. I'm sure there have been many of people that thought that about their show, but and that, you know, the movie has just revamped everything. And then next year when the second part comes out, I just can't imagine. It makes everybody want to go see it again. It made me literally, like, I was like, I'm salivating to go see the Broadway show again. Like it made me ache to see it live, because there's something about, you know, the film, it's a whole different medium, but my first experience in love was, you know, seeing it, blood, sweat, tears, like up close. I wanted to see it live, like immediately. So I can see how it's boosting sales and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What were some of your other favorite roles to do in your career?
Oh, I did Marty in the national tour of Greece. That was so fun. That show was so fun. I got to tour with 2 of my dearest friends, Amy and Christina, from home, actually, from near home where I'm from in Pennsylvania. We got to tour the country. That was really fun. Let's see, Urinetown. I did Soupy Sue in Urinetown and got to go on as Hope, and that was really special. Let's see, Chicky in Lucky Guy at Goodspeed was a really fun. She was like a hairdresser, and she played guitar not so great, and she was real fun to play. I got to wear my cowboy boots. I like that. What else? Mrs. Claus in the Radio City show was really fun because I got to be in LA, and that was a really fun show. There was like live camels and donkeys and sheep, and it was insane. And it was with the Rockettes, so that was really fun. Wicked. Oh, my favorite regional theater, I did at Fireside Dinner Theater in Wisconsin. Actors, if you ever get a chance to work there, it was my favorite. I got to I met my dear friend Matt Winnigy. We did Hello Dolly in like the dead of winter in Wisconsin. But it was like the best group of people. It was the best. We all lived in this like big old Victorian sort of like farmhouse. It was the best. It was the best regional theater. Best people I was there for like 2 or so months, and that was right. And I had to fly back. It was like literally in like a snowstorm, and it was like planes were delayed. I had to take like train to a plane. It was like I when I got to the final callback for Urinetown, because I was doing Hello Dolly in Wisconsin. I flew like after a show. Like the head of the theater, like the director of the whole like dinner theater, like drove me to the airport. I had to like pack all of my stuff, and I literally like I think did rollers like in the bathroom at the airport, got to the callback, and I said to them, it was like I had taken so many modes of transportation. I was like, I've taken everything but like paddle boat to get here. It was like in the middle of a snowstorm, and did the final callback, and then was literally getting right on the plane after in New York and flying back to Wisconsin to do the show like the next morning. So it was like really late, and I was at the airport when I found out. Like they called my agent and were like, we want her to be Soupy Sue, and it was my first. I just got chills. It was my first national tour, and it was like a big deal, because like Urinetown was such a big show, and everybody was all like, there was so much hype about it, and it was so exciting. And I screamed. My agent called. I'll never forget. I literally threw my ticket. Like it was like out of a movie. It was like, the agent calling the poor actor to be like, you got it. And I like screamed. And then my cast threw me like a congratulations party, but it was like they, I called Maddie and I was like, are you going to stay up for me? Because it was like 1 a.m. in Wisconsin, like in the middle of a snowstorm. And he was like, I'm going to go to bed. And I was like, okay. And I was like sad that I thought they all like, because we had all like been so supportive, and like they were all so excited. And I got back to the cast house, and they had like decorated it, and like Ed, the director, picked me up at like 1 a.m. at the airport in Wisconsin and drove me back to the cast house, and they surprised me, and just telling the stories. Just the people, and you can't beat theater people. You just like you can't. It's like you meet somebody and you're like, I will know everything about you in a matter of 4 hours, and here's all my stuff too. Like it's the best.
It is such a wonderful and different world. It's just I think
Mhm.
theater people just vibe differently. So yeah, I notice that every time I speak to someone, the excitement and the memories and just a whole world is of its own.
Yeah, it is. It's like you enter, and you have to be so vulnerable with each other because you're making art and you're making truth, and it's like it's somebody else's in the audience, it's their release into somebody else's life, and you get so close to people so fast, and then it's over and you have to leave. But um I always tell my students, I'm like, what we do in front and with and for each other, like I always say in my classroom, I'm like, it may sound hokey and weird, but like this is a sacred space. you know, I will never ask you to do anything that I am also not willing to like show you or demonstrate or be. And, learning how to become a teacher and get the best out of your students comes from them believing you and trusting you that you're safe to fail and fail big, and that you're not going to be put down or made to feel stupid. And that, like, if they believe I see it in them, if they believe that I can see it for them, then they'll start to see it for them. And it's like, you have to teach for what is not there yet, but that you see or smell in them, right? Like, you're like, I can see. It's sort of like a calibrating game. It's like you get to know them, they share with you, they sing, they do a monologue, and you're like, okay, I think I can get them from here to here. This is what I'm going to try to teach them in order to get there. And you have to empower them and show them what they're doing right, communicate what is not quite coming out, but that you can see is behind maybe 2 or 3 doors of ego or, fear, or past teachers telling, making them feel stupid, all that stuff. I think it's such it's like an honor to teach, because it's so much trust that they put in you, that you have to take, very seriously, I think, and responsibly, because everyone has that one teacher that said something to them that they didn't forget, that was not so nice. I have mine, everyone has theirs. So I try to be the teacher that I would have wanted. So, like, balancing all of it is like an art for sure. But I love it. I love it so much.
Anything you still dream of doing in some capacity with theater?
I secretly, not so secretly, because I say it to my husband, we always joke that, like, when my girls are maybe like at college, or like if they decide to go to college or whatever they decide to do, once they don't need me like on a daily basis, I would love if my agents are still around and I have any sort of connections still in the business with, you know, finding representation. And like, it would be so fun to play the mom roles. Like, it's like, you don't have to worry about carrying a show or like, singing the highest note for Jesus. It's like, you can just like go and do some funny scenes and sing a funny song and like play the mom role. It's not something I ever thought about, like leaving and coming back, but now, oh yeah. And I'm so grateful that I'm teaching, because it sort of keeps me in the world and knowing shows and things like that, because you have to stay abreast of all of, what's happening. For sure. I think I would be such a better actor now after being a teacher. Like, it would be very interesting to see how I like my process. Because I tell you what, teaching makes you have to get, it's like having children makes you have to get very clear on what you believe, because you're like, someone's going to ask me and they're little and they're going to look at me like, do you know what you're talking about? It's like same as being a teacher. You really hone what you think and what makes good, honest behavior. And so, yeah, I think it would be really fun to go back into theater and do like, I'm like, it'd be great to just do Broadway. I could just still live in my New York, apartment, because I love our apartment now. We're like in our hopefully forever place. We just moved into a 3-bedroom, and it would be amazing. Like, if my husband's, retired, and he can come meet me, and we'll go in between shows and go to dinner in the city, and I'll do my show and come home on the subway. I'd love that.
A mom role you would love to play in the future?
Oh boy. I don't know. I don't know. There's no role that's like in my head. Actually, I think Madame Morrible would be so
Yes.
fun to play. I think Madame Morrible would be so fun to play, and that would be trippy to like revisit it as her. Um, it would be very cool. So yes, I'll put that out into the world. Madame Morrible later in life. There we go.
And she is a teacher, so that works.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's a mistress. There we go. I'm practicing with much less fancy clothing.
We have a message for theater fans.
Oh, go see live theater. I mean, I don't have to tell theater fans, they know it's magic, but I feel like especially the way the world is right now, like what is happening in the world without getting into any politics, because I might throw up, but it's the world needs art and art is important and it's telling important people's stories and um I feel so lucky on days that I'll be so bogged down by something like, what's happening in the real world that I always say like going into my class at AMDA and I walk in the door and it just looks like that quintessential like New York like rehearsal room. That's what all the like studios at AMDA in this beautiful old building. And I just feel like it's what the world needs, you know, is to go play and create something together. And just the world needs some theater people. The love in the theater community, I think the world could take a lesson from it.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this lovely interview and your time.
Thank you. This was really fun, Dannii.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a lovely day with your family.
Okay, you too. Take care.
Bye.
Behind the Mirror of Music with Dannii Cohen.